The mechanism of breathing, it involves two processes. One is inhalation and another one that is exhalation. So inhalation means it is the process of intake of air or intake of oxygen. On the other hand, exhalation means it is the process of expelling of carbon dioxide. So both these processes like inhalation as well as exhalation, that is known as the process of breathing. Or we can say that breathing involves two steps or two processes or two steps. One is inhalation, intake, and another one that is exhalation or expulsion of carbon dioxide. So now we can discuss the actual mechanism behind this breathing. So breathing involves two steps, inhalation as well as exhalation. Then actually what happens during inhalation as well as exhalation process? So during exhalation process, the rib cage, this is the bony protective cage. So what happens to this rib cage? This rib cage will expand. So rib cage will expand. Expand means it increases its size. Okay, it will expand, or this rib cage, it will increase its size and rib muscles will contract. So what will happen? Due to the expansion of this rib cage, the volume or the space inside this chest cavity or the lungs, that increases. Volume of lungs increases. As well as what happens to this diaphragm? Diaphragm contracts and it moves down. When rib cage expands, so it results in the increase in the size or increase in the volume of chest cavity, as well as the movement or the contraction of diaphragm. When diaphragm contracts and it moves downward. Diaphragm will contract and it will move downward. So when it moves downward, so what happens? It results in the increase in the volume of lungs, or this pressure in lungs decreases. When diaphragm contracts and moves down, so pressure in the lungs, it will decrease. So due to low pressure inside the lungs, what will happen? As a result of this expansion of rib cage as well as the contraction of diaphragm, air will rushes into the lungs. Okay, air will rushes into the lungs, or we can say that inhalation or intake of oxygen, and now the lungs fully filled with oxygen. So this is the basic mechanism behind inhalation or inspiration process. Once again I will repeat it. During inspiration or during inhalation process, diaphragm will expand and rib cage will expand as well as diaphragm will contract. So when rib cage will expand, the space or volume of chest cavity or lung, it increases. So more space will be there, Then during the contraction of diaphragm, due to the contraction of the diaphragm, it will move downward. So that also will create more space in chest cavity, or volume of chest cavity will increase. Or we can say that, simply we can say that the pressure inside this lung or chest cavity, that will decrease. So what happens? Air rushes into the lungs, or lung is completely filled with incoming air or oxygen. This is the basic mechanism behind inhalation. Then what happens during exhalation, during expulsion of carbon dioxide gas? During expiration process, just opposite to this inspiration or just opposite to inhalation, the rib cage gets smaller. Okay, here it expands. Just opposite to inhalation, during exhalation process, rib cage becomes smaller. So when it becomes smaller, what will happen? The size of chest cavity or its volume or size of chest cavity, that will reduces or decreases. So what happens? Pressure. When volume decreases, then pressure increases. So pressure inside this lung that will increases. Also diaphragm relaxes. During inhalation, diaphragm contracts and moves down. During exhalation, rib cage gets smaller and the space or the size of chest cavity or volume of chest cavity that will reduce or that will decrease. As a result of that, diaphragm will relax or it moves up. So more pressure in lungs increases. And as a result of this increased pressure inside the lungs, air will pushed out. Okay, or air will pushed out or air will expelled out. So now carbon dioxide, that is exhaled, or expulsion of carbon dioxide takes place. So this is the mechanism of exhalation or expiration process. So once again it is very simple and very easy to learn. That is during inhalation only two terms you have to learn. During inhalation first change that is takes place in the rib cage. So rib cage expands. So expansion, due to expansion what happens? Space or size or volume will increase. More space will be there. On the other hand, second point, diaphragm will contract and it moves down. So both of these change, expansion of rib cage as well as the contraction of diaphragm. So it increases the volume of lungs. Okay, volume of lungs or the increases the size of chest cavity, or air pressure that will decrease. So due to this what happens? Air will enters into the lungs. That is the mechanism of inhalation. Then in simple way, what happens during exhalation? Just opposite to this. Rib cage it becomes smaller. So when it becomes smaller, what happens? The size or volume of lungs that will decreases. Okay, volume will decreases. So volume will decrease as what happens to diaphragm? Instead of contraction, it will relax. So due to the relaxation of diaphragm, it will move up. So what happens? Now the volume decreases and diaphragm moves up. So due to it decrease in the volume, pressure inside the lungs that will increase. So as a result of increased pressure, air is pushed out. So this is the mechanism of inhalation as well as exhalation process. So now discuss about gas exchange in the alveoli. Already told that alveoli are the sites of exchange of gas. So alveoli, they are richly supplied with blood capillaries. Clear? Then alveoli have high concentration of oxygen. They have high concentration of oxygen. So due to this high concentration of oxygen, alveoli is having high concentration of oxygen. Then blood, on the other hand, blood is having low concentration. Alveoli is having high concentration of oxygen. Then blood is having low concentration of oxygen. So what will happen? Diffusion takes place. So diffusion takes place. Diffusion means it is a process of movement of substances from or gas from its higher concentration to lower concentration. So according to this, there is a high concentration of oxygen. The higher concentration of oxygen, that is the alveoli or inside air sacs. So oxygen from these alveoli that will diffuses into its lower concentration or diffuses into blood. Clear? So diffusion, movement from higher to lower concentration. So oxygen will diffuses into these blood capillaries. So here inside the alveoli, oxygen is higher concentration of oxygen. Then from this higher concentration of oxygen, this oxygen will diffuses into its lower concentration of oxygen, that is in the blood. Then when it diffuses into the blood or blood capillary, then what happens? Blood or RBC contains hemoglobin and this oxygen binds with the hemoglobin and it transports all over our body. Then what happens in case of carbon dioxide? Blood have high concentration of carbon dioxide. Blood have high concentration of carbon dioxide. On the other hand, alveoli is having low concentration. So blood is having high concentration of carbon dioxide compared with alveoli. So alveoli is having low concentration of carbon dioxide. So according to this diffusion, what happens? From higher to lower, movement will take place from higher concentration to lower concentration. So from blood, the higher concentration of carbon dioxide which is in the blood capillary, that will diffuses into this alveolar region. Alveoli is having low concentration. Then carbon dioxide from this alveoli, it will move to bronchioles, bronchi, then trachea, pharynx, nasal cavity and nostrils. Now carbon dioxide is expelled out through external nostrils. So this is the mechanism behind exchange of gases that takes place in alveoli. Once again I will repeat it. Alveoli is having high concentration of oxygen, blood is having low. So diffusion will take place. How does it take place? From higher to lower concentration. So as a result of this concentration, difference in their concentration, oxygen will move from this alveoli to blood. Likewise carbon dioxide. Higher concentration of carbon dioxide is in blood capillary. So carbon dioxide will diffuses from this blood capillary to alveoli where the concentration of carbon dioxide is very low. Then it is expelled out. This is the mechanism of gas exchange that takes place in the alveoli. Then now, how does the transport of oxygen and carbon dioxide takes place? So during inspiration or inhalation process, intake of oxygen takes place and from the alveolar region, from alveoli, O2 will diffuses into blood capillary. Then blood contains respiratory pigment that is known as hemoglobin. So now this oxygen, it combines with the hemoglobin and form oxyhemoglobin. So 98.5% of oxygen that is transported in the form of oxyhemoglobin. So oxygen combines with hemoglobin which is present in RBC, red blood cell, and form a substance or compound that is known as oxyhemoglobin. And 98.5% of oxygen that is transported in this form. Which form? Oxyhemoglobin. Then second mode or second method or second form that is dissolved in plasma. Only 1.5% of oxygen that is dissolved in plasma and it is transported through all our body. So this is the two ways of transport of oxygen. So in the form of oxyhemoglobin, when it combines with the hemoglobin present in red blood cells and it transport all over the body. Then this oxyhemoglobin, that is unstable product. It is an unstable product. It is not a stable product. It is unstable product, and when it reaches to tissues, then what will happen? Due to its instability, it readily dissociate to give oxygen. So this oxygen is further used by our body cells for respiration process or breakdown of glucose, like cellular respiration or for aerobic respiration. So in the presence of oxygen, glucose or food, that is breakdown and release of carbon dioxide, water along with energy in the form of ATP. In the form of ATP, that means energy. Release of energy, that also takes place. So oxyhemoglobin is unstable product. So when it reaches to tissues, then it readily dissociates to give oxygen. And our body cells or tissue can utilize this oxygen for cellular respiration and it results in the generation of energy. Then only 1.5% of oxygen that is dissolved in plasma and transport to all our body. Then the transport of carbon dioxide. How does the transport of carbon dioxide takes place? Mainly in three ways. First one, that is carbonic acid in the form of carbonic acid. That means some carbon dioxide that is dissolved in plasma. Some carbon dioxide that is dissolved in plasma, near about 7%, only 7% of carbon dioxide that is dissolved in plasma and form carbonic acid, that means H2CO3, that means carbonic acid in the form of carbonic acid. Then other remaining part, near about 70% or more amount of carbon dioxide transportation that takes place in the form of bicarbonate ions. This carbonic acid in the plasma ionizes to form bicarbonate ions, HCO3 minus, or in the form of bicarbonate near about 70%. Then the third form, that is carbon dioxide combines with, like oxygen combines with hemoglobin and form oxyhemoglobin. Likewise, carbon dioxide combines with hemoglobin and form carbaminohemoglobin. And 23% of carbon dioxide that is transported in the form of carbaminohemoglobin. So three forms in the form of carbonic acid and bicarbonate ions, and third one, that is carbaminohemoglobin. The consequences of deficiency of hemoglobin in our bodies. So hemoglobin means, actually hemoglobin is known as respiratory pigment. Hemoglobin, HB, or hemoglobin is known as respiratory pigment, and it consists of two parts, heme part and another part, that is globin part. So heme means it is iron part, and globin means it is protein part. So hemoglobin, it contains one iron part, heme, that is iron part, and globin, that is protein part. So this heme part or iron, that will give red color to RBC. So that is why RBC or red blood cells are red in color. WBC, they are colorless. They lack hemoglobin. Then this pigment, which one? Hemoglobin, due to the presence of hemoglobin in RBC, they have red in color or RBC. So RBC contains hemoglobin. Then this hemoglobin, it have high affinity. They have high affinity for these oxygen molecules. So one molecule of hemoglobin can carry 4 molecules of oxygen. So one molecule of hemoglobin can carry 4 molecules of oxygen at a time. So that means more efficient transport, maximum transport or a very efficient transport of oxygen that takes place along with this hemoglobin, because one molecule of hemoglobin can carry 4 molecules of oxygen. So if there is hemoglobin is absent in our blood, if RBC lacks hemoglobin, or if hemoglobin is not present in our blood, then what will happen? Then it will take near about 3 years. Okay, it will take near about 3 years for a molecule of oxygen to reach tip of toes from lungs. Okay, from lungs, one molecule of oxygen, it will take 3 years to reach up to our tip of the toes. Okay, so just you imagine that. So if there is hemoglobin is absent, then it will take 3 years for a molecule of oxygen to reach the tip of toes from lungs. So hemoglobin, that is very important, most important respiratory pigment, which helps in the transport, which helps in the efficient transport of oxygen all over our body. Then if there is low amount, or if there is less hemoglobin in our blood, then what will happen? Our body become very weak due to less amount of oxygen in our tissues, because body cells need oxygen for cellular respiration or for release of energy. Okay, so according to the needs, various needs of our body, or according to different requirements of our body, this oxygen, sufficient amount of oxygen should reach in different tissues or different cells of our body. Then our body can carry out different life processes, or body will get sufficient amount of energy for doing all the processes. So, if there is less amount of oxygen due to less amount of hemoglobin, then it lowers the capacity of blood to carry oxygen. So, person will suffer from a disease or particular condition that is known as anemia. That means their body become very weak because they will get very less amount of oxygen. Their body cells, they do not get sufficient amount of oxygen according to their requirement of their body. So, such type of condition is known as anemia. Then the trachea or the windpipe, it is composed of 16 to 20, already explained, 16 to 20 incomplete cartilaginous rings. And the main function of these cartilaginous rings, it prevents the collapsing of trachea even there is less air in it. Clear? It prevents the collapsing of trachea even there is less air in it. Like this, another one more thing, epiglottis. What is the function of epiglottis? Epiglottis, it is a flap of tissue which covers the opening of trachea during swallowing of food. Otherwise, pharynx it acts as a common passage for food as well as air. Then during the swallowing of food, sometimes food may enter into our windpipe. So, a flap of tissue known as epiglottis, it prevents the entry of food into trachea because it closes over the opening of this trachea and prevents the entry of food into trachea or windpipe. Then, the lungs are surrounded by protective membranous covering, membranous layer that is known as pleura. Then, not only this pleura, ribs are, it is bony cage. Ribs are bony cage, bony protective cage. Bony cage or bony protective cage of lungs, which provide protection to lungs as well as heart. Then space inside pleura, that is known as pleural cavity, and this pleural cavity is filled with fluid that is known as pleural fluid. The main function of pleural fluid, that will act as a shock absorber, that means it provides protection. It acts as shock absorber. So, trachea is composed of 16 to 20 incomplete cartilaginous rings. Main function, it prevents the collapsing. Then epiglottis, it closes over this trachea and prevents the entry of food into windpipe. Then membranous protective layer, that is pleura. Then bony protective cage, that is known as ribs. Then pleura, pleural cavity filled with pleural fluid. Main function, that is shock absorber. Then now let's discuss about the relationship between these photosynthesis as well as cellular respiration. Then during photosynthesis, putting together. So during photosynthesis, plants use some raw material and they put together this raw material and they synthesize new substance like food or glucose. So here they use carbon dioxide gas, then water and sunlight as the energy source, and with the help of chlorophyll, plants can trap the sunlight as the energy source and they prepare their own food, glucose. So this is glucose or food. Glucose or food along with the release of oxygen. Then look at the second equation. During cellular respiration, what happens? The product formed during photosynthesis or the food synthesized during photosynthesis, that is glucose or the food. In the presence of carbon dioxide, they breaks down. Okay, they breaks down and release of carbon dioxide, water, along with the release of energy that is in the form of ATP. That means just opposite to that photosynthesis process. We can say that these two equations are exact opposite. Or we can say that photosynthesis, that is the reversal of respiration. Look at the equation. Carbon dioxide, water, and in the presence of sunlight as the energy, plant prepare their own food, glucose, along with the release of oxygen. Then here, in case of animal, during cellular respiration, what will happen in plants as well as animals? During respiration, what happens? The glucose, in case of animals, okay, during nutrition or during the digestion, then what happens? The food component that is converted into simpler soluble form like glucose. Then that glucose or the food, it breaks down in the presence of oxygen. Then it is known as aerobic respiration. So in the presence of oxygen, they breaks down and release carbon dioxide, water and energy. Energy means it is in the form of ATP. So we can say that photosynthesis, it is just opposite of cellular respiration.